You ready? You ready? Good. The heck was I just gonna say to you? Oh, welcome back to Breaking and Entering. I'm Bea.
And I'm Bea.
We're both Bea.
Wait, we need to restart.
Okay. Ow! Welcome back to Breaking and Entering.
I shit my pants.
Hi, shit your pants.
Let's start over.
Okay.
Hi, welcome to Breaking and Entering.
Hi, welcome to Breaking and... You said my thing.
Let's start over.
Oh my gosh, so we're back in Hades. I hate these little fuck sticks. Alright,
Yeah.
Yeah, those little pots that throw bombs at me.
Word.
Okay.
That's not appropriate. I don't like that.
Well, it's too bad. I'm gonna kill them, so... They go, rah. That's a bummer. Mouth on the twin fists. Heck yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, Dad.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, Dad. Oh, these all suck. I'll do that one. What the F was I gonna do? Oh yeah, go over here. Get some jams. So, my name is currently Bea, correct?
Yes.
That was a name that I chose for myself. At some point in college. I think I've been going by that now at this point for, I don't know, probably like 5 years. Probably like 5 years.
Yeah.
And when I was first going to college, I asked my mom, I'm like, is this the time when I can like rebrand? And she's like, well, if you want to, like, you totally can. She was like, what are you thinking? Like, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know, just maybe like a different nickname or something. So for like a little while, I tried to go as like Leah for some reason. I wanted something different. I wanted to shake it up, but I wanted it to somehow be like plausibly derivative of my name. So I was like, I'll go by like Leah. That did not stick because I just could not.
Right.
It's
hard to keep.
Yeah, it's hard to keep, and I just was not used to my name not starting with a B also. So it was just like, this isn't gonna work.
Right.
So then I just went back to being like my birth name for a while, which again was fine, just not necessarily what I wanted to go with, basically.
Right.
God, I hate this thing.
Well, here's the thing. 2 random people just get to decide what you're called for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You have 0 input.
Yeah, and it's like, what if I don't like that? Which I don't. And so I was like, it took 6 out of 100. That's probably good, huh? Curse of Vengeance.
Yeah.
What the F was I just saying to you? Oh yeah, so went by Leah for like a month when I got to college, and then was like, this isn't gonna work. This ain't cutting it. So then was just kind of like torn. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't freaking know. Like, then I had a whole phase where I was like, maybe I'll just like give myself like a not characteristically female name and just see how that feels. Like, just fart around with that for a minute, and like didn't fuck with that either. That just didn't work out in the end again. And so I think I don't know. I tried out a couple different things, and I was just like, this isn't the vibe. Eventually I ended up with Bea. But I found out, gosh, when would that have been? That probably would have been like my senior year of high school. Like, my whole life growing up, my parents were always like, oh yeah, if you were a boy, we would have named you Abe. We were gonna name you Abraham Mark, because we thought that sounded like a good football name. Yeah. Like, that was something you could shout out as you were running out onto the field.
Football people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I am also football people, but your parents are football.
Yeah, they are football folks. Yeah. They are all about that life. So yeah, that was like their driving force behind. They're like, well, yeah, we were gonna call you Abraham Mark, because we were like, Abraham Mark, like that sounded like a great football name. And I'm like, well, great, thanks guys.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. It does. Especially with my parents' last name, it sounds really good. Yes. But yeah, it was just like, great, that's awesome to know that level of real dedicated commitment went into choosing my name or whatever. And so I was like, well, and then I obviously wasn't a boy. So I was like, so I ended up with this. And my mom was like, it's really funny because actually that wasn't the name that we had picked out for you if you were a girl. Like, that's not what we were going to go with.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what do you mean? And there were some friends of theirs had just very recently moved back to the United States, some people that I had never met, but were super close with my parents for a long time.
Yep.
And they had been in the UK for, let me see, at that point, if I was a senior in high school, I was like 17. So they'd been in the UK for basically like 17 years.
Sure.
And they had a daughter that was like a week older than me, right?
Sure.
And her name is Isabel.
Yep.
Go by Izzy. And I was always like, that's such a cool name. Like, I wish that was my name. And they were like, well, here's the funny thing about that is actually they were like, when we were like waiting for you to be born, because they didn't see it, they didn't find out the gender, and they were just like, we're pretty sure she's gonna be a boy.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, I don't know, like we'll pick out a girl name because obviously like we don't know, but they were just like, we're pretty sure it's boys. We're gonna name him Abraham Mark, but they picked out a girl name as well.
Mm-hmm.
And their friend's kid, like I said, was literally born like a week before me, and they named her Isabel. And the problem with that was they were my parents' best friends, and the name that my parents picked out for me was Isabel. And so I was born then a week later, and they were like, shit, it's not a boy. We can't name her Abe. And we can't name her Isabel because our best friends just named their daughter Isabel.
Look at you just fucking everything
So
up.
well, that's how we roll here, breaking and entering. But so they did not name me Isabel. And then literally like a month after I was born, their friends moved to the UK for 17 years. They were like, well,
the
they can't.
Fuck you.
Yeah, like fully. Because they were just like, they're like, well, we can't name her Isabel. Like, not that their friends would have cared that they both named their kid that, but they're like, they can't grow up and like be friends and both be named Isabel. Like, that's.
Are you kidding me?
Can't do that.
There were
right,
kids
that's how I was like.
In my grade that like there were 3 Evans in my grade. We were all friends.
Well, see, that's why I'm like, who cares?
Because
just I
we
could
had
have
the same
been.
name.
But that's why I was like, I could have been Izzy.
Mm-hmm.
I could have been like a la
Or
New
Belle.
DuckTales. I could have been Turbo. I never would have been Belle. I totally would have always been Izzy, but I was like, I could have been fucking
Belly.
Izzy. Are you kidding me? Well, I already kind of am that every time a child tries to say my name.
Yeah.
But I was just infuriated. I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, the audacity, not just of my parents, but also of their friends. I was like, how dare they steal the best name and then move away forever? Like, how could they do this to me specifically?
Yeah, dude.
So that was, I don't know. We have discussed before what your name was going to be if you were a girl.
Yeah.
But I can't remember it for the life of me.
So I've heard conflicting stories.
Well, because I've heard your mom say they were just going to name you Lily, because that's what they named your sister.
Right.
But I didn't think that was sort of the case according to your father.
No, I've heard conflicting stories. They call me Evelyn as like a joke, which is another story we can get into in a minute. But I'm pretty sure they were gonna name me Emily.
Oh, okay.
I'm like mostly. I think I remember my mom telling me that. So.
Do you know, I don't think I've ever met an Emily in my whole life. No, I take that back. I knew one girl named Emily, but she didn't go by Emily, she went by E.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually even know that her name was Emily until, like, a lot later into knowing her.
Yeah.
And I never really knew her that well. She was, like, in my older sister. She was, actually, like, 2 grades above my older sister in high school. So I really barely ever knew her, but that's the moral of the story. They were going to name you Emily?
I think so. By the way, I had like 5 Emily's in my grade. Not just my school, my grade.
Well, yeah.
I went to a much larger school than you.
You went to a giant school.
I think we
Actually,
graduated-
probably like a normal school, and I went to a tiny school.
You graduated with what? 12 kids?
15.
15. I had 450, I think,
So cute.
in my grade. Which again is not a large school. There are schools that are much larger, but
Oh yeah, my
comparatively.
cousin's school, I think their graduating class was like 2,100 kids.
Yep.
But still.
Yeah.
But still, it all comes back to but still.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have a lot of
Oh,
boons.
you know what's crazy? We've been out of high school for 10 years now.
For some time, yeah.
I was at my parents' house probably like a week ago. I was like grabbing some stuff for the house, and I found my stepsister's yearbook, which also happened to be my senior yearbook,
Mm-hmm.
but it was her yearbook.
Okay.
And I was looking through it, and like, I recognized probably 25% of the kids. Like, I used to know every single kid's name in my school.
Holy
in my
crap.
grade, I should say. I recognize and remember the names of about 25% of it. So I'm getting fucking old, dude.
Dude,
It was,
I
like,
just don't.
Weird.
I don't know how you could know that many people.
It was a weird feeling because like I used to be like, oh yeah, that's so. Like I've never said a word to them in my life. We've never had a class together. We've never even spoken.
Well, they've
oh, yeah,
never
that's that person.
spoken. That's how my younger sister Jordan is. She knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have a joke that because our childhood best friends, our next door neighbors growing up, their godfather was just this kind old man, just like he's the epitome of like if you think of like someone's grandpa.
Yep.
That was just like he was just like, yeah, he was such a grandpa type dude.
Yep.
And
He's everybody's grandpa.
yeah, and he knew everybody. He knew everybody.
Yep.
And so we always had a joke that, like, if Jordan didn't know somebody, Uncle Bob knew them.
Yep.
So, like, between the two of them, they knew everybody in the whole world, basically, was our joke. Oh, let's go see Eurydice.
What were we talking about before?
Names and knowing people.
Names. Yeah.
Yeah, the classic.
I've had nicknames before. Most notably back in Pee Wee football. I won't say my actual last name, but I used to go by Baltz. B-A-L-T-Z.
Baltz.
That's a derivation, somewhat, a little bit of my last name. Yeah, that's about it. My brother, though, is pretty famous in my family for his name, his nickname. Again, going back to Graham, who is probably the most talked about topic on this entire show.
Mm-hmm. This could really be called Breaking and Entering, talking about Graham.
Yeah, but he's such an interesting character. So so we're both diabetic.
Yeah.
But Graham was the first diabetic.
Yep.
I think he was probably diagnosed around the same time you were, honestly.
Probably like, even though he was like an infant.
In 2001.
Oh, I was 2004.
So he's been a diabetic out of the long of us, even though he's younger than us.
Yeah.
He was 13 months. So he had to go to the doctor a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Especially because he's a diabetic infant.
Yeah.
So like once a month we would go to the doctor. For whatever reason. And eventually he got to the point where, you know how they'll be like, okay, what's your name? And he'll say Graham. Do you have a preferred name? Like if you're Andrew James, you'd be AJ.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, your name is Graham, but what's your preferred? Do you have a preferred name? And he's like, Speedy.
Yes.
So then that was kind of the joke for a while that he was Speedy. But then he decided at some point that he didn't like Speedy. So then the next time that happened, they're like, what's your preferred name? And he goes, Shiny.
And he still has that nickname today.
He still has that nickname to this day.
He is still Shiny,
My
our
dad,
beloved.
My mom, myself a little bit, not so much my sister, but everybody calls him Shiny. My parents do at least.
Oh, I hate these things so much. This is where I'm gonna die for real on this
always
level.
Always been Shiny.
Why did I
don't
wait?
even remember what his reasoning was for being shiny, but he just didn't.
He just wanted to be shiny.
There were still some family friends that called him Speedy, but it never really stuck. He's always been shiny.
See, I'm trying to think like.
Oh no!
Oh, I said the same thing Zachary said. I had a lot of nicknames growing up, but a lot of them were not very nice. Like I was the BBC. I was Bea Butt Cheeks. That one was good because I just had a cute little butt. You know, I had a cute little butt. So I was Bea Butt Cheeks. But they used to call me the BBC, and people would like rap. They'd be like, "It's the BBC." Like I don't know.
That's definitely a white person nickname.
Oh, absolutely, 100,000 million %.
Didn't really realize.
Yeah, but I think, what else did I have? Oh, I was the PDD as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was BBC, PDD. You've heard that story before, right? I told you that.
Which one?
The story of how I got PDD, the pants down dinosaur.
Oh yeah.
Was
You should say it though.
Yeah, well, I will. I was a little baby. I was like 3. I was like 3 years old, and my parents could hear me like upstairs in my room jumping on my bed, which I was not supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom went upstairs to check on me and yell at me for jumping on the bed. And she came upstairs, and I was jumping on the bed, but I had my pants around my ankles, and I was just jumping on my bed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, so if we get the scrying thing, then we can see how many runs we've been on.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, Bailey, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just a pants down dinosaur, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. Understandable.
There you go.
Great.
It's been declared.
Yeah, I was like, it's been declared.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was the PDD for forever. My old babysitter used to call me Stinks all the time.
Yep.
Because apparently I was a really stinky little baby.
Because you fart all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so they called me Stinks all the time. I was I just had a lot of like really weird nicknames, and then it wasn't until I got older that I got like actually kind of fun and like cool nicknames. But why can't I talk to her again? Okay. Well, but you had I think you should regale the story of being called Evelyn, because that one is horrifying but also hilarious.
So I was 7? 6 or 7. We had just moved into our new house. So it's probably about 6. And
9.
it was about to be on my birthday. It was like a week before my birthday, and they're like, well, did you know that you're on this birthday? I don't remember what year, but on your
I thought your mom said it was like your 12th birthday or something. Wasn't
maybe
it?
10. I think it was 10.
Okay.
On your 10th birthday, you become a girl. And I was like, no, nuh-uh. Yeah. So that's why we named you Evan, so that when you turn into a girl, we can call you Evelyn. And I do not remember a time in my life where I had a more severe and explosive meltdown than that moment right there, where I'm standing in the kitchen. I know exactly where I was standing. If we went to that house right now, I could show you exactly where I was. Hands on the counter going, no!
Oh my god.
Screaming.
It's terrible.
And I was
But it's a little
like,
bit hilarious.
I like being a boy.
I like being a boy.
I did.
I like that was your rationale, was like if you argued with your mom enough that it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, it wasn't gonna happen, but I just like the child logic of like, no, I don't want to be a girl, so I'm not gonna be.
I'm gonna miss that appointment. That doctor's appointment, we are not going to.
And that was the moment when you were first asked to consider your gender for the first time, and you decided, and I respect that for you. You said, no, I will not be a girl. Thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, you can continue to not be a girl on the next episode.
Wait, let's restart. Welcome to Breaking and Entering.
Welcome. Bye.